All right. Well, welcome again. My name's Diane. I'm tuning in from Boston, and I'm personally a C6 quadriplegic. I was injured in July of 2020. I'm part of the Kelly Brush Foundation family and really excited to be facilitating these conversations and continuing to build this amazing community through the Active Project Live. If you're new here, welcome. Active Project Live is a bi-weekly Zoom series where we dive into adaptive sports and recreation. We connect with athletes and experts and explore new ways to stay active and independent. It's really a space for adaptive sports enthusiasts to learn, to share experiences, and really just build community by engaging in these lively discussions about a wide range of recreational activities. And tonight we are focusing on adaptive horseback riding. So we're thrilled to have a couple of adaptive riders joining us to share their personal experiences with horseback riding. We're also joined by representatives from a few amazing therapeutic riding centers, including Yellow Horse Equine Therapeutic Riding Program in Ashway, Rhode Island, Rainbow Riding Center in Belmont, Vermont, and Windrush Farm in North Andover, Massachusetts. So you will hear from them to share their insights about their programs and how to make or how they make riding accessible for individuals with disabilities. If you're looking for an adaptive, inclusive therapeutic riding center near you, the Active Project is a great place to start. The Active Project is our digital resource for all things adaptive sports and recreation. This is where you can discover sports, you can try place or find places to try them, connect with peers. We have informational videos on dozens of sports, hundreds of organizations and their events. We have forums, messaging, equipment information, and much more. So please sign up so you can check that out and take advantage to all of their resources. I'm going to pop that in the chat, just so you have that link. And if you ever notice a center that is not on there, please email us so we can make sure to get it added. We need your help to make this resource as comprehensible as possible. Um, and I will also post in the chat our email address that you can always email us those things. And lastly, again, we do record these discussions and upload them to our YouTube channel. So you can check out all previous discussions on our Kelly Brush YouTube channel. But our goal really is to create a conversation that's opening, engaging, inspiring. So please feel free to ask questions and share your experiences. Everyone's perspective is valuable, and we can all learn from each other tonight. And I think the first step in learning from each other is just to get to know each other a little bit. So I'd love to just start with some introductions from our riders here tonight and the therapeutic riding centers. Maybe everyone can start by just saying where you're tuning in from. Riders, you can state your experience level with riding, and centers, you can briefly describe the adaptive programs you offer. So maybe we can start with Janet, are you here? I got your email and saw you're catching a flight tonight. But I'm glad you're able to log on. And maybe you're on your phone call now. Um, Maybe not. Um, well, we can pass it to Anna.
Hello?
Go ahead,
I
Jan.
am, I am here, but I'm not sure you can hear me. It's Janet here.
We can hear you. Or Janet, you got your unmuted. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Janet.
Oh, great. Thank you for inviting me. And I apologize that I am in an Uber because of a change in my flight. I'll be heading back to Boston, hopefully, this evening. But Windrush Farm has been offering therapeutic riding programs since 1964. And we're based in North Andover, which is about 1 hour north of Boston.
Amazing. Um, and yeah, so where or what kind of disabilities do you typically have included in your program?
A very wide range. If we're talking about physical disabilities, we do serve people who have challenges to walk. We have many riders who will come in a wheelchair or with a mobile device. And the wonderful thing at Windrush is we have a lift. So you can either go up the ramp to get onto our gentle horses, or we can use a lift, which is a fantastic piece of equipment to take somebody out of the wheelchair onto the horse. And we serve people with various conditions of genetic, perhaps something has happened in an accident, or people who have had a stroke or have a degenerative disease such as MS. And recently we started people who are blind. So we have all types of clients. And I think an important thing to say to you all is we have gentle, well-trained horses.
Mm. Definitely. I think that's probably a very important piece. And I'm curious, so the ramp that you have, and then they are able to kind of transfer off their wheelchair and right onto the horse, or how would that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. If somebody can stand, then from the ramp, which is probably about 3 foot high, you can then put your leg over the horse and ride. I should also mention we have adaptive equipment. Some people prefer to ride with a saddle pad or a blanket if they're not able to put their feet into the stirrups or find that uncomfortable. We otherwise offer an English saddle or a Western saddle, and which I can explain if you would like that. But if you're not able to stand up from the wheelchair and put your right leg over the horse, that's when we use the lift. And the lift comes down. It has arms that go over your legs. I hope that makes sense. And it also has supports that go over your arms, and it will lift you up to perhaps about 2 feet into the air, then will move you across and then down onto the horse. It's very, very good. It's also actually very nice for the horse because you land on the horse very quietly. And all of you who ride probably know it's nice if you land on a horse with a gentle landing and not a bump. But it's also true to know that the horse is an animal of prey and can be a little nervous about things that arrive from the above, from the top. So we have to train our horses very well to stand, to wait until the rider is in the lift and over the top and then lands on the horse. And it takes quite a while for a horse to accept this. And once they understand that it's not scary at all and a nice person is coming for a ride, that's how we do it.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. And the two types of saddles you said, what were the two types you mentioned?
Yeah, the English saddle is the smaller saddle that you might see if somebody is riding a horse and perhaps doing some jumping. It's quite a low saddle. And the Western saddle, I can really only explain it if you've watched Yellowstone or any Western movie with the cowgirls and cowboys. It's a much, much deeper saddle, makes you feel very secure, and has the horn at the front, which is where in a working ranch situation, the rope would be wrapped around the horn. Does this make sense to other people on the call?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if you know the
Yeah.
difference. Western
I'm
saddle is very
nodding.
heavy. The Western saddle is very heavy, but very comfortable and very secure. The English saddle is a little bit shallower. Some people might say not quite so comfortable. But I should also mention that when you're riding at a therapeutic riding center and you need support, in addition to somebody leading your horse, you have very often you have two sidewalkers and they will walk beside you and support you. So that doesn't really matter whether you're riding with an English saddle or a Western saddle. You'll have people each side of you, and sometimes we'll put a special belt. It's just a wide piece of fabric, but it has loops on it, and the sidewalkers can hold those loops to help you stay upright in the saddle. It's really important for your balance that we keep you as centered as possible. And we also have some funny cushions that are called donuts, and they can go around somebody's body if somebody is struggling to sit straight or is very off balance. We use these cushions, which are sometimes called donuts.
Okay. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Um, And we also have Diane from Windrush. Hi, Diane. Thanks for joining us. And I wonder, if your center does some of the same techniques and uses the same saddles and transfer mechanisms to get on.
Um, this is Diane, and I'm actually from Rainbow Riding Center, which
Oh,
is in
sorry. Yes.
no problem, which is in Belmont, Vermont, which is in Rutland County, so it's South Central. But fortunately, we have the founder of Rainbow Riding Center here on the call, and I think she can speak to a lot of these issues much more thoroughly than I can. I'm the development director. Mary Jane, do you want to share what we do and who we help and what tools we have?
Yeah, I can try. So we were, I was first certified in 2021 and began with private lessons and incorporated in 2008. We became Rainbow officially as a nonprofit. So as we started out, the program has changed as has gone on, and not that we've ever eliminated anybody. It just seems since COVID, we've gotten a lot more school groups than we used to have. So it started out very much with physical and genetic issues. And we, part of our program has always been, we have an outside ring, we don't have an indoor ring, but we've always found it very important to have trails in the woods also. We had a sensual trail in our first location we built, and we have obstacles and all sorts of challenges that as riders develop, they can become a little more independent. Our goal is always to be completely independent, but that's obviously not always true. We've dealt with people with uh, MS, traumatic brain injury, um, CP. Um,
Mary Jane, I think it would be great to share the story. I think it was Amber that was in the PowerPoint and sort of the evolution of the tools that were used and her progress.
Right. Yeah. So we do have a horse that is perfect for very involved people. And this young lady, Amber Riley, you're talking about, not Amber, Riley,
Oh,
who,
Riley, sorry.
oh, that's okay. When she first came to us, she was not able to walk. She had a lot of genetic issues and physical issues. So uh, she arrived in a wheelchair, and she she wasn't even really able to sit up. She didn't have that core strength. So you were talking, Janet, you were talking about having the sidewalkers and the leader. And well, for Riley, when we first we just started getting her used to the horse, and she would groom from the wheelchair, and she could lead from the wheelchair. And as we got going, she always wanted to get on the horse. So we were able to get her on the horse, but at that point we had two sidewalkers on each side a um, and a leader, and she just would. We had a saddle. It was like a Western saddle, but without the horn, but it had that uh, support in the front.
Nice.
So she would just lie on that, and we looked for adaptive equipment that would help her out, but we couldn't find anything that was appropriate. So we have this wonderful older gentleman that has volunteered for a million years, and he's like a MacGyver. You just say, "Gosh, I would really like to solve this problem," or "What do you think about this?" And he thought about what we could do for Riley, and he came up with this great thing. He modified that quote Western saddle, put a bar up. It was really padded, like a big tube in front, so that when we first started, it was probably, well, if we put her arms out, it would be straight from her elbows out, that she could support herself with it. And at first she couldn't support herself. She would just lie over that, and people would, help to try and keep her up. And as the year went on, that summer, she started doing, we would do exercises before, once they get on the horse, we always do exercises to improve range of motion and strength and confidence and balance and all of that. So Riley's also nonverbal. So we would physically help her try and do exercises. So by the end of the summer, she was starting to get more upright. She wasn't all the way straight, but she was pretty darn close. So the next summer comes along, and she comes. And by that summer, she was sitting straight up, able to support herself with one sidewalker on each side. And she was supporting herself with that bigger noodle on there. It was a metal bar across with this big padding. So the next summer comes, and she no longer needs that big noodle. Jerry has now modified the saddle once again, and it's a smaller bar. It's just a tiny bar that she can hold on to if she wants to. But
Yeah.
but she can ride. She was almost independent at that point. Not that we would ever leave her without sidewalkers, but it was pretty amazing. And not
Yeah.
only that, for each lesson, we would walk her. We would have her get off the horse to walk to the horse to groom and then back. And she had gotten so that she could do that. And she'd gotten so that by the third summer, she could walk up the wheelchair ramp by herself. So not, well, again, with people next to her just in case, but
Yeah.
and we also had the belt that you were talking about around her just to make sure. But she was
Super.
amazing. It was just an amazing effect that the horse could, just being there, she was driven to do something, and B, that just the movement of the horse and the exercises really strengthened her up. So miracles happen every day at therapeutic riding places.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
such
wonderful
a
story.
story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So yeah, and there's anybody that Windrush. I had gone to Windrush a million years ago for, I guess, maybe our congresses or maybe a workshop or something, but You
Oh,
know,
no. Yeah.
everybody has miracle stories that just
Yeah.
happen. Kids that say their first words on the horse. You know, I had a traumatic brain injured guy that just developed because of, you know, he couldn't walk straight, he couldn't speak, he couldn't do anything, and by the end he had his own horse. You know, it's just amazing
Wow.
what's able to.
Wow. I heard a very interesting quote from one of our clients last week who was riding on our trails, and he recently became blind and in his middle age, so it was very shocking. And he said to me last week, I feel more secure on a, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel more secure on a Windrush horse with a horse handler and two sidewalkers than I do learning to use a cane on the streets of Boston. And I just thought, wow, because the horse provides, you know, the eyes and the legs.
Yep.
And as we've been discussing, there are people beside you and leading your horse. But what a fantastic thing to say that
Yep.
he feels more secure on a horse than walking with a cane in the streets of Boston.
Yeah. Well, it's that
Amazing, right?
trust, that relationship that's built also that is.
Yes, yes, exactly. But it also goes down to very well trained horses who somehow seem to know that we need to be careful here. When we go through the trails, we go slowly and steadily. And I'm sure it's the same for you, Mary Jane, that our horses are all trained to do whoa and go to the voice, which is also
Yeah.
really fun. If you can't use
Yeah.
your hands or your legs, you can use your voice, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Everybody's
great.
voice.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And in these later years since COVID, we've
Yeah.
had a tremendous amount of, I think we were up to 14 schools that had contracted with us for because there's so much trauma. We do a lot of trauma-based
Yes.
riding.
Yes, absolutely. Same with us, more anxiety than ever before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, you know, social situations, family situations, economic, you know, economic challenges, all of that has such a huge effect on our
There's
riders.
so many. I've just been out to the PATH conference. PATH is our governing body. It means Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. And talking about physical challenges, I think many of you already know this, but the horse movement is very similar to a human, the way the horse moves up and down and side to side and forward to back. And that helps very much the human sitting on the horse because the movement is so similar, but the horse also moves you, which is, if you think about it, even better than you using a piece of equipment. But they also showed me a new product called Mirror Colt, and the Mirror Colt has been designed to mimic the horse's movement, and it's for people who can't always get to ride a horse, and they're putting this piece of equipment now into homes where people might be living, residential homes, or into physical therapy centers. And I sat on it, and it's amazing. It really feels like you're sitting on a horse at the walk. It's only the walk pace. But I don't know if anyone's heard about this, the Mirror Colt.
Nope.
That was very
Nope, nope,
clever.
nope.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
I was sorry, I was just going to mention that we serve all ages. A lot of people don't realize in therapeutic riding,
Right.
we have clients as young as 3 and people up into their 70s. And in terms of different populations, there's been a lot of research on the benefit of this with military individuals like veterans and either their physical or mental challenges. It's been very healing. You know, I was thinking of one other, we have another program for, you know, young children that have been through trauma, reconnecting with parents or caregivers. So I don't know,
Yeah, like in
Janet, if Janet has like specific types of programs, like we have the 4 different programs.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We do the same
Yeah.
to focus on special needs. Yes. And I also actually think our clients enjoy that. We have 3 clients who unfortunately have had strokes, but they really enjoy the social aspect of meeting other people. And we work through Spalding. And often people come to us who say, I didn't know that I could ride a horse. But yes, at Windrush and at Rainbow, you can, right?
Mhm.
And I think, and maybe Rachel, I know you're an occupational therapist, so maybe you can speak on this too, but just along the, it's amazing that people with mobility challenges can get on the horse, but there's so many therapeutic benefits of just walking aside it or brushing the horse or other mental components, emotional components that are so beneficial and therapeutic as well. And I know, Rachel, I know Rachel from Empower Spinal Cord Injury, and we've gone out to Montana, and have gone to a farm there and done a whole program through that. Maybe you could share a little bit about, well, your experience with that and other experience with adaptive riding.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So like Diane said, my name's Rachel. I'm an occupational therapist, and I actually found occupational therapy through working at a therapeutic riding program, because the founder of the program I was working at, which was Love Lane Therapeutic Riding in Lincoln, Massachusetts. It's primarily a pediatric program, but I fell in love with it. I think it's an incredible resource. I think horses are amazing. I grew up on a farm, so it's kind of how I got into all of this in the first place. And I think what is incredible, as both of these women have spoken to, is that there really is a way to access being around horses for anyone. And I think figuring out what the pieces that you're looking for, whether it is something physical, if it's mental health, if it's just, again, like being out in nature, being in these places, like having that social aspect. I think there's a little bit of all of that in whether you're doing a mounted or an unmounted program. We had done a program through Empower that was actually, it was a community collaboration with an equine assisted psychotherapy group. So it was, it's a little bit different, but it's essentially group programs where we had a group of 7 teenagers who have spinal cord injuries. They did a program where they came into the ring and essentially worked through an activity with a licensed social worker and therapist who, I won't go into too much detail unless you want me to, Diane, about, what that looks like. But essentially they have someone there to make sure that the horses are safe, that the people are safe and comfortable. But there's a lot of research around, again, like I think has already been said, how there's a lot of nervous system regulation, reduction in anxiety, symptoms of depression, things like that through being around horses. And some of it has to do with the fact that they are herd animals. So the way that they sync with each other and the way that they read body language is similar to how we do. And it can kind of help to create that connection between a human and their horse. And again, I think it's just exciting to know that there are a lot of different options out there. And I would say too, the only other thing I would add, I feel like there's so much that's been said already, is that, a lot of riding adaptive riding can look like, you're going there to learn, you're learning the skill of riding. There's a lot of therapeutic benefits, but it's a little bit less of that rehab focused mindset. So I think for someone who might be a little bit burnt out from doing PT and OT, things like that, you're getting those same benefits where at a place where the focus really is on the riding and the horsemanship and things like that, which I think can be really nice. You're getting like that dual benefit which is great. And there's so much benefit, even for anyone who's not necessarily, their goal isn't independence. Like I believe it might have been Janet or Mary Jane who had said this, but you know, outside of those physical benefits and the proprioceptive input and all of that that you can gain, whether your goal is or is not changing your mobility, I think that, you know, from what I understand, they've shown that, again, that input that you're getting from the horse's gait provides a lot of that nervous system regulation for your body, and it can improve cognition and coordination, fine motor coordination, and all of that. So there's a lot of really great benefits. There's a lot of ways to access it. And I think just like reaching out to a program in your area sometimes is that great first step. And it might not be the right fit, but just trying different places, trying to figure out, you know, talking to people and getting their sense of how a place was is a great way to get started.
Thank you, Rachel. I agree. And I guess on that, for anyone, what do you guys think is the best way to just to call your local center or local riding center and see if they have an adaptive program? Always, you can hop on the Active Project and see if there's any riding centers near you. But what would you recommend to find those centers or?
I agree with Janet because we're also part of PATH. I could put a link and you can find a certified organization, and it's an international organization.
Okay, yeah, if you could share that link, that would be awesome.
I heard over the weekend there are over 900 of these centers now. And so what started north of Boston in 1964 is now almost everywhere, which I think just undermines the success of these programs.
Absolutely. That's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
And it's growing. Well, I'd also love to hear from some of our athletes. Uh, Dean, I know you're here. I found Dean because I saw one of his videos that he posted on his Instagram of him getting on the horse for the first time. Could you share a little bit about how that experience was for you and well, how you found that particular experience too?
Yeah. So that time wasn't through like a program like some of the other people are talking about. It was just a friend of mine who races horses, and she wanted to kind of, her and the person who owned the ranch wanted to bring me out there so I could kind of try it. Um, the thing that I was most worried about going into it was kind of how to get onto it, just because horses are so tall, obviously. But that part actually went a lot smoother than I would have thought. I kind of just held onto the saddle and did like a pull up, and then one of the workers at the ranch like pulled my one of my legs over to the other side. So that part actually went super smoothly, and then the riding was obviously super fun. It felt pretty good to be on a horse again, and like I'm a T5 level injury, so I don't have like a ton of core. So I wasn't able to like, because they didn't have any like adaptive equipment to like hold me stable or anything. So I wasn't really able to like ride hands free or hold the reins on my own. So there's one person that kind of just led the horse around, but it was still pretty cool just to like feel that movement and like be be able to like be on the horse. Um yeah, it was a very different experience from some of the other like adaptive things that I've done. And yeah, overall it was super positive experience.
Thank you for sharing. Have you done it again?
I've only done it once, but I want to do it again soon. It was
Yeah.
super fun last time, but only once so far.
Okay, okay. Oh, thank you for sharing. I hope you get a chance to get back out there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and what was your experience like? Like how often did you ride before your injury?
Um, Not a whole lot. It was still like I did it a few times just as like when some family came to town, we just went up to the mountains and did it, but I didn't have like a whole lot of experience like doing it before I got hurt. So it wasn't like a huge transition to doing it adaptively for me.
As other people listen to this call and even people on the call here tonight, and open this up to other people to chime in as well. Any like tips you would give someone wanting to try for the first time? And any things you would yeah, tips or any things that you want to make sure they would be aware of?
Um, I would say that it probably would be best to go through one of these like adaptive programs that has done it before and like has the supplies and equipment to like make it best for people, but I don't think they like if they have a friend who has a ranch or has horses, I don't think they should be like opposed to trying it just with a friend as long as they're like comfortable with that person and that that person is like knows how to work around horses and knows how to make sure they're safe. Like I had a good experience just doing it with a friend. So, I mean, just if you have the opportunity to try it, I definitely would.
Thank you, thank you. And Anna, are you a writer as well?
Hi. So I rode previously. So I was in a diving accident 2 years ago. I'm a C5 incomplete, quadriplegic. But I rode and trained horses for about 15 years prior to my accident. I did a discipline called dressage, which is an English-based saddle. So I'm here to learn and kind of see any way I could get back in any capacity because I mean even prior the therapeutic benefits of horses. I mean, obviously the data shows it. So, I mean, it was my therapy. I was out of the barn probably 5 or 6 days a week. I had stopped a few years before my accident due to some other health issues, but no, it's something I'm really interested in. I've been back to some old barns of mine to try to go see them, but I think there's a safety thing there because as I believe Mary Jane and Janet touched on, horses are herd animals. And so I remember the first time I rolled back into a barn, all the horses in the stalls went nuts because they did not like that wheelchair, right? So I
Right.
think making sure you are set up in a safe environment prior to and making sure like I used to work with ex-race horses, so going into a barn full of thoroughbreds with a wheelchair is not the safest idea necessarily all the time.
Electrifying.
So, so I think, yeah. So for me personally, I'm here to learn and try to figure out a way how I can get back into writing because it was such a large piece of my life. I do wheelchair basketball at the moment, which is very different. So I'm a KBF ambassador, by the way, as well.
Ah, yes, yes.
And if I could just add, you may know this, but there's also para dressage. Do you know about that?
So yes, but it's something that I've found very, very challenging to try to find a location to do. If you know any contacts, I mean, that's what I would absolutely love to do that in any capacity. But yeah,
Yeah, perhaps through Diane, I can give you some contacts.
that would be
Yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely.
I do live
Yeah.
down in Virginia. So
Yeah,
I'm
I know. Yeah, I know someone in Virginia in the industry. I mean, that's serious dressage. Para dressage is at the Olympics, and the
yes.
Olympics are coming to Los Angeles in a few years.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it was such a massive part of my life. I mean, I'd love to
Yeah.
do the para dressage stuff. I mean, therapeutic would be fantastic as well, even just to,
Right.
get on a horse again. I mean,
Right,
having that
exactly.
experience, but getting into
Exactly.
something like that would be up my alley.
Yeah, it's amazing, and there aren't many therapeutic riding centers that offer para dressage, but there are a few. So I'll get the information over to you.
You just made my night. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Janet.
good.
My pleasure.
That's
My
what this
pleasure.
is all about.
Okay.
Well, and do you have any questions for any people on the call, Anna? As you are.
I mean, not necessarily specific questions. I mean, a lot of the equipment stuff makes total sense, and it's really cool to hear about the different equipment. I personally can stand, but I couldn't like be able to lift my like right leg over. So I've always been curious about how that would look because you always mount from the left side. So I've always been curious about that. So no, it's been very interesting to kind of learn a little bit more about the equipment and the logistical side of things. But I think, especially with traumatic spinal cord injuries, having that, you know, cognitive therapy with it, I think that's really cool.
Oh, and I should add, and you may all know this already, but to ride in therapeutic riding programs, PATH does require, and it makes perfect sense, that you do have permission from a physician, that you can do it. And I would say 9 times out of 10, we get permission. Many doctors really approve of this type of therapy because it is different. It adds something to your life. And as someone said earlier, I think sometimes going to OT and PT for a long time can get a little bit repetitive. But every time you come to a farm and meet your horse, in quotes, it's a different experience. And I have parents too who say, my child doesn't really like going to a clinical setting. And every time they come to Windrush Farm, they don't look at it as a PT or OT experience. They're just looking at it as a wonderful experience with an animal out in the nature.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think so much of their life is set up as a, you know, one office visit after another, and
Right, right.
and you just set up your lesson plan to be fun and active, and they're getting all that without realizing it.
Exactly, exactly.
And we also have Dee on the call. Hi, Dee. Would you care to introduce yourself? I've noticed you nodding to a lot of this. So it looks like you have some experience and background.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, I have a spinal cord injury. It's T12 through L4. So I'm in a wheelchair. But I ride at a place called Wings of Eagle Ranch, and I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. But the ranch is in Concord, and it was started about, I don't know, 20, I think she said 27 years ago, and they have like 88 acres and 22 horses. And when I first went there to start riding, I could actually walk somewhat with a cane. And then the COVID hit, and of course, nobody was doing anything. And then by the time I went back, I was in a wheelchair and didn't have any idea how I was going to get on the horse. And then, of course, you know, what happens is what one of the women, Diane, or the other woman said, you know, there's a great little lift that they put me in for my wheelchair, puts me right over and sits me on the saddle. And actually they have one of the therapists that gets on behind me to make sure I'm not gonna wobble, because I don't have much core strength. And so that's a lot of what I'm trying to get help with. But she has a lot of different classes, and obviously I'm in an adult class. She has 2 adult classes, and you know, it's about actually learning how to ride and how to ride English, which I had never done. So I was a little nervous that it wasn't a Western saddle. But you know, it's like, you know, they explained we have 2 walkers on either side, and then we have our lead. But you know, once you've been there a while, and I've been doing this now, I think about 5 years, and she has 3 sessions a year. You know, the walkers will loosen up a little bit, and actually the person that leads the horse will actually let you lead the horse, right? And so that helps me understand, you know, how much movement You know, how much muscle movement do I still have in my legs, and what can I do and not do? And I'm very fortunate that one of my sidewalkers is a long time horse person, and she jumps. And so she's very good at, you know, teaching me all these things. So not only am I enjoying myself, and I feel like my legs are doing a little better because of the gait and the walk, it's just really interesting to actually learn how to ride properly. And we also, she has trails, so we also do trail rides as well to help with our core. And it's just amazing to see the kids out there ride. It's mostly, you know, children with disabilities. And just, you know, you tell them stories. There's a gentleman I pick up on my way out there, and he had a stroke about 20 plus years ago, and he couldn't walk or talk or do anything. And his mother took him out there, and now after all that time, he can walk. His right arm is frozen, but he can walk and he can ride because he used to ride, and he speaks. And it's like he's a completely, you know, different person. And it, you know, just seeing his story, you know, is amazing. And there's another young woman out there that rides. She has, and you have to forgive me, I don't know what it is, but the acronym is, she has RTD. And she's been riding out there ever since the farm first opened. And actually, she just wrote a memoir about riding. Her name is Megan Bean, and you know, it's pretty amazing to see her ride. So I get joy watching other people ride. I volunteer out there. I paint signs for them and stuff. So I really enjoy it, and I think anybody that can get to a place that has a therapeutic riding program, they should definitely try it, because I think it just really it's my one day of the week that I look so forward to in the morning. I just love being there and riding and being with the horse, and so I would highly recommend it for anybody that could try it. You know, just go do it. You know.
Thanks for sharing all that. I really appreciate it, and the encouragement. And I think also, yeah, watching other riders is really powerful too. And just if there's like, and it just creates that community too. Um, so
The
much.
other thing I do, and I couldn't understand exactly what Anna was saying, but I do play pickleball, because I was able to get a sports wheelchair through Kelly Brush as well. So it's been pretty great.
Oh, nice. I'd also like to say to Dee, thank you for being a volunteer, because we couldn't do these programs without help. You can imagine for many riders, we need one horse handler and two sidewalkers. And so every time we take on new programs, we're excited, but we have to multiply by 3 the number of people we need to help us. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah. And we have Gina on the call as well. And I know you are an adaptive rider as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. I had an incorrect link.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was glad I checked your message. So anyway, I live in Montana, and I've been riding my whole life. And let's see if my camera works. There you go. So yeah, it's just interesting to be able to ride. And when I grew up riding, I didn't ever ride English. I heard was at D talking about learning how to ride English, and I had to do that. And then finally, I was able to go back to Western riding. So that was good. With a Western saddle for more support and stuff. But yeah, I ride with an adaptive program, and I just transfer over to the horse. And it's been interesting because it took me years for me to ride independently, just for them to have enough confidence. I had to show them a video of me trotting at another facility. So there's a comfort level, I think, that organizations have, but it's been really wonderful to ride different horses, and Tennessee Walkers are one of my favorites. That's what I'm riding now. And it's does so much just for my hips and body. Just to put in alignment. And I think in terms of, therapy, doing things that feel good. And I think anytime you can get out of your wheelchair is a really fun opportunity. So I'm glad that there's organizations that are out there, and it's one of my favorite things to do. I also ride adaptive bike. I just started aqua therapy, and that's really terrific. But I have a spinal cord injury. It's been 37 years, and I'm an incomplete para. So yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't on to hear everybody else's journey through horseback riding, but I'm just really happy for the opportunity to get to do stuff.
Well, thanks for popping on, and you can always catch the beginning if you'd like. We'll post it on our YouTube channel. But thank you so much for sharing. And that also reminds me, just your note on have you gotten some increased in strength. Is there any I guess exercises or strategies any of you guys would recommend for riders to practice outside of the barn to kind of enhance their riding experience and get stronger once they're back on the horse, or just being on the horse does the work?
Or
Absolutely. I think one thing is, depending on the program and their supports, I think especially PATH certified programs are typically pretty well equipped to support people at whatever stage that they're at. Obviously that's I think that some other components that are probably important to include too for adults is some programs have weight limits. They might have limits on the frequency that they have each horse ridden during the day. So they might not have a lot of availability. You might be put on a wait list, things like that. But I think it's like any good thing, it's good programs are often pretty full. So it might take a little bit to get into a place you really like, but sometimes starting out with maybe one of those unmounted programs, like a few people have been talking about, and the horsemanship programs can get you in the door at a place like that. But as far as things to prep or things you might want to do, if you're working on anything like on the mat, like doing unsupported sitting, things like that, like just if you think about it, if you're trying to sit unsupported on a horse, anything that might help with that. So any like dynamic movements or challenges to your balance in any way are helpful. But I think you know, the benefit is just to get on and be able to even, you know, they talk about how like the fact that the horse is so warm helps with tone. So a lot of times it's like these things you might do in PT or OT or at home exercises, like you'll find that they're easier to do after you've done something like this because it just gets your body to that place that it needs to be. But yeah, I feel like that was a little bit of a long-winded answer, but I think that it can kind of be like anything physical that you would do. I think it's will translate over just stamina too, because it's a lot to be on a horse, even if you're not steering the horse yourself. I think all of the riders can attest to this, that it looks a lot easier than it is. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of endurance and strength and range of motion, even to be able to to be seated on a horse. You know, different horses are better suited to different goals. So they might use a horse that's a little bit bigger and wider and has like a bit more I'm losing all my horse terms, so I feel like Janet, Mary Jane, maybe you guys want to jump in, but you know, depending on the horse's gait, they might use a different horse to help you get to a different type of goal. So if you need a little more activation, they might use a horse with the shorter, choppier gait, or if you're looking for something, looking for more of the soothing types of like soothing for your tone and things like that, they might use a horse with a slower gait, things like that. But there's a lot of stuff like that that you know, a center and a program can talk through with you, and it would be a lot of trial and error once you get established at a place.
I think a nice thing is to go and visit a place to watch too and talk and see if you feel you'd be comfortable there. Everyone has a different approach, so it'd be nice to go and see if you're comfortable. And you brought up a really good point of the warmth. We actually had a rider that was so locked up, you know, just because she'd been in a chair for so long. And what we found is she had a caregiver, uh, and who would bring her, and it was great because we could get more of a background and we could work and try different things. And what we found really helped her out was she would go to a swimming, an aquatic, a warm. It was a heated swimming pool ahead of time, and go in there and do a few exercises, and that would loosen her up, and they would go directly from there to us, and it improved her range of motion, and it was amazing the difference. If we just did that we did it for weeks on end, you know, just every time she would come, see if she could get in warm water first and then come. And that was huge. And also your idea of, you know, the horse being warm. There are instances where we have bareback pads that kind of help hold you in place, but it's you really feel the motion more of the horse, but also that warmth radiates from the horse up to you and it'll loosen you up.
Yeah, I think the first year I rode, she had me ride on a bareback pad. And it was, you know, I was a little nervous about that because
Right.
I always rode Western,
Yeah.
and so to get on a horse with just a bareback pad was a little
Scary.
it was scary, yeah, yeah. And I ride a Haflinger, and if anybody knows those, they're not a real wide body, but they're wide enough. And I tell you what, trotting on that thing is not the best thing in the world, but I do it. But yeah, so I will attest that the warmth of the horse is really quite amazing, and how it really, for me, how it really, I mean, I can't feel much from my waist down, but for some reason on the horse, I can tell when I'm getting warm from being, from sitting on the horse and the heat that it dissipates.
So was her gait a little short and choppy? Was that why?
When we try?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just try to sit down and relax,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm supposed to, and just go with the motion. And you know, once I learned that and learned how to breathe and I hold my breath the whole time,
Right, right.
I did fine. You know, I'm doing much better. But that the woman that started the program, she had rode Honey, and that's my horse's name, Honey, and she had ridden her and did a trot, and she said, I can understand now why you
Yeah.
why you were a little hesitant at first. So
And Dee, when you said there's somebody behind you, are they on the horse with you?
no, it's only when I get on, when they transfer me on to sit down on the horse, there is somebody behind me that makes sure that the
That
the
they're standing behind you.
no, they're on the horse. When
Okay.
I'm sitting on the horse, they actually get on the horse after I've been set down with the hoist to make sure that I am square and right. Yeah, on
Your
the
balance.
saddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how do they get off?
She just gets off. I can't even tell when she gets on and off. This is the woman.
Does she slide off the back or?
We have the two, the horse walks in between,
Right.
two platforms,
Right.
two ramps. One's a little higher than the other. And, I don't know, somehow she gets off and I don't even know it. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Yep.
And I don't want to leave a Scott out here. It's always good to see you, Scott. Have you gotten on? Have you done any riding? Have any experience riding, or any interest?
I'm interested in all things adaptive, and I had ridden a couple times before my injury and did have one time to ride after my injury. And if I could get like 96 hours a day, I might be able to pursue all my different interests, but I'm limited to 1/4 of that, and so I don't know the next time I'll get on a horse, but
How did you get on the horse that you rode?
they had, that lift that they're talking about,
Okay.
and I'm a T4 para, but good upper body strength, and have developed a little bit of ability to, hold myself up, and I was with experienced people, and boom, boom, I was on.
Okay.
If I'd not been with experienced people, I probably would have fallen off or not gotten on. But yeah, I can endorse going to a place that's, not their first time.
Yes. Well, thanks for sharing. And we are getting to time, but thank you all for being here and for a great conversation. Again, we will post this on our YouTube channel so everyone can learn and hear from all of you. And I'll follow up with Janet and get those writing centers for Anna. How about? Okay. But everyone have a great night. Thanks again. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night.